Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Paranormal Talk. Sorry we're a little late. We were screwing around with a couple of things,
Audio.
but anyway, um, and sending invites out and stuff like that. I have Dell and Laura Lee with me. We're going to be chatting. We may or may not see some other people. I noticed a couple of invites on. I know a couple of people out screwing around tonight, so I don't know what's been going on. But we'll be talking a little bit about just a little bit about are UFOs real or is there anything such thing as extraterrestrials? I mean, really, is there anything out there? But I mean, couldn't we just be a fluke of nature? I mean, one in how I don't we don't even have a number for it, but one in however many trillion, billion, quadrillion Google planets there is out there. But we could just be a fluke, just us. And just because we find the building blocks of life in asteroids and meteorites does not mean it's working on other planets. So we could just be us. Frankly, I have a hard time with it, but you have to consider it, right? I mean, especially if you believe in God, and if you believe, well, now even if you believe in God, you can't believe in the only thing out there. That one's another one. We're not going to get into too hard, but that's another one that if you there's lots of ways to interpret the Bible, and several of them would suggest that there might be something out there other than us. And I'm not talking about hell before anybody writes me any stupid emails. Um, by the way, I ain't going to even open my email tonight. Y'all can get us on any of the YouTube pages or any of the Facebook pages. And if you must, you can hit me on my messenger page, but hit me on the Joe Montaldo page. Which one the hell is it? Now I don't even know what page it is. Hold on. The one with the bald ass head. That's the one.
No glasses.
Yeah, no
Your
glasses, just
hair's
a bald
back.
ass head. You can pop me. Hey, it's Sean Kelly. What's up,
Hey
Hey,
baby?
guys.
Sean.
Hey
Hey, it's
guys. Hello.
so
Hey
Hey there,
Dell.
Sean.
y'all,
Hey,
y'all
Sean.
can y'all can
Hey
catch
Joe.
me. Hey man, what's happening? I
Not
got
much, brother.
yeah, there's not much going on out there, baby. And when
Awesome.
somebody said something the other day. I said something about who was I screwing with? It was Jay Nichols or somebody. I said, "Hey, Beast Man." He said, "Oh, I know you're talking about Sean when you say that now." I was like, I started
Oh
laughing.
man.
I was like, "Say, see, you got a reputation already, man." Well, Adele and Laura Lee,
Yeah,
right?
he
You met
knows
them.
Yeah.
us.
Yeah,
Oh
just
yeah.
Yeah.
asking who the hell do
He's
I
been
know?
on our shows.
I
Like
mean,
Yeah.
it
we
gets
know.
confusing around here
We
sometimes.
scooped him up right in the beginning, right,
You
Sean?
know,
We met you when you
Yeah.
first came to network.
And I want to get Lori and then Dell on my show.
Right
yeah,
on,
Yeah.
y'all
anytime.
get them on, yeah,
Anytime.
because after a while, y'all all start to look alike to me. So y'all all kind of look like Jen and Nick Casey.
I'm doing 2 podcasts this week.
I
I'm
love
doing one out
Jason.
of Ecuador and one out of Australia. So that's what I got going on.
That's always
Awesome.
fun. That's always fun. It's always challenging, but fun. By the way, tell Jason again I love his Halloween costume.
I will. Absolutely. Yeah, that was a good one. Hey, he got me an opening for my show, dude.
No, did cool.
So what do I do?
Wait. Tell me what you're doing. Talk about explain.
The music. You
Oh,
know,
oh, it's got to be put to some kind of video or something. Uh,
MP3.
it's gonna be MP4 actually. It's
Okay.
anyway. I'll tell you after the show, but it goes to an MP4. But the best way to do it is just re-record it with with like a video playing in the background or pictures playing in the background, stuff like that. And there's a couple of ways to do it, but I'm not gonna get into it right here right now. But
No.
God, remind me though before we switch over shows, and I'll tell you it's not real complicated.
Mm-mm.
And you can even use StreamYard if you want to do it. Guys, hope everybody's having a good night out there around the world. I know it's wee hours in the morning. Well, no, it's not quite wee hours yet in Britain, is it? It's just around midnight for y'all. It's
Mm-hmm.
around 5:30 here. I said about midnight, 12:30 there. Ooh, the witchy now. So I've been hearing some weird things about you Brits lately. We're going to talk about it on Friday show. It's not for this show. But really, man, I've been hearing some weird things about you Brits. And, y'all one of my favorite people. I don't know. But we're going to talk Friday. Don't worry, we always seen something before anybody posts it. We always seen something about our president, so you don't have to go there. People trust me on that. we Americans already know. we already know. When I say we already know, I mean it. It's funny because I remember the press tried to get a question into Biden about UFOs or extraterrestrials or any of this. Now, every president since Reagan has actually been hit with this. Of course, Jimmy Carter said he's seen one. So he had Jimmy Carter, then you got Reagan building up this huge platform all around the world. He puts in Pine Gap, he puts in the Hart facility, he starts building Star Wars lasers. I mean, this some bitch was going to war with somebody, and he starts talking about, the world would be united if damn aliens came to invade. So, I always wondered, so you had him, and then of course we got Daddy Bush. Now here we got Daddy Bush, who was what? head of the CIA for a couple of years. Then he was vice president for 8 years and president for 4 years. I'm thinking if anybody knows anything, this SOB probably knows a thing or two about what the hell's going on out there. He was asked, and he always said the same thing. I can't tell you anything. Sorry. He never said it. Del, mute.
Am I muted?
No,
Okay.
mute. I said because I can hear you fiddling with your mic.
Oh, sorry. Oh,
Yeah.
there we go.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, because I can hear you fiddling with it. But so and then of course we have who was next after that? Who we had after? We had Clinton. Oh God, Clinton. Poor Clinton. Him and Hillary were trying to find out. I think he was looking for a way to get off planet and get away from her. Because I mean, they were heavy into it. I mean, really, they were into it. They brought all kind of big wigs in, all kind of billionaires in, trying to find out what's the extraterrestrial connection. And he was told when he was asked about Area 51, and he admitted to this. He was told that his security clearance wasn't high enough. He didn't have a need to know. I'm thinking, you son of a bitch, I'm the United States president. I'm going over there right now because I got a need to know immediately. Get me my people, get me my CIA, get my Secret Service. We're going out to pay you a visit. That would have been the end of that conversation. And he said, let me tell you what, let me get the press with me too so we make sure this happens. It was just one of those things that you got to be like, wow, the president's like, you can't go out there and get a president. And then, of course, after him, we get Baby Bush, who goes right back to Desert Storm and starts blowing up the Middle East again like he was looking for something for, his whole 8 years of presidency, and you're just kind of like, wow, what the hell is going on here? And then because of him, we get Abominator. So we get 8 years of the Abominator, who also was asked about the UFO thing and said, I need to know. And he meant he needed to know, not us. He meant he needed to know. They weren't telling him anything either. You kind of like, what the hell? And then we get the Trumpinator. And the Trumpinator not only talked about it, but decided to start Space Force. Which, by the way, the Bidenator, which doesn't sound as good, but the Bidenator kept in place. So obviously our presidents think there's something going on or something out there or something maybe we should be worrying about in the future. But obviously they do have an interest, even though they want to share it with the rest of us neon peons around the world. They do seem to have an interest in this. And we just learn by its and bits and pieces and pieces. But before we get into that, Laura Lee, take over and let everybody say how much they love each other.
Okay.
Right,
Well, I'll introduce myself first and we'll go around the horn. Hi, everybody. I'm Laura Lee Potvin. I'm the host of the Angel Rock, which will be on later on this evening at 9 p.m. Central. 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central with the time change. And we'll take it to the Dell. We'll go to the Dell and then to Sean.
Yep. Hi, the Dell here, host of The Delicious Recipe on Thursdays at 7 Eastern, 6 Central. And just talk about lots of things, throw everything in the pot and see what we come up with and how it tastes at the end.
Okay, Sean, your turn. You're up.
Hey, my name's Sean Kelly, and I'm on two podcasts. First one is on Tuesday nights. It's called Chasing Prophecy. We are on at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central, from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. And then the best one, think about it, the best show, right, on Tuesday night is my show, which is Into the Night with Sean Kelly.
Well, awesome. And all of us have paranormal experience and you've got Pittsburgh Paranormal Society, your group. Dell and I have been, most people know if you've been with the network for a while, we've talked about it, but we've been featured on season 4, episode 9, Demonic Hauntings, on Paranormal Survivor, because Dell and I lived in an extremely, extremely, extremely haunted house for almost 11 years. And
Wow.
Delly's been thrown 15 feet. We've been bit. We've been scratched. Other people have experienced it. I've got some crazy pictures, crazy EVPs. But what happened on the weekend, we might as well talk about, since we're talking about UFOs and ETs and stuff. I was outside and I saw this crazy light. I'd never seen it before. I don't know what it was. I took video of it. And then I stopped for about 5-10 minutes, still took more video. I was trying to check on my planet checker, like, is this a planet? But it was way bigger. The camera didn't do it justice. I even sent it to Joe because I said, Joe, what do you think? Because what happened after that, Okay, so I took 2 videos, couple pictures, and like I said, the video didn't do it justice. It was much bigger than, I believe, Venus, which we can always see here. And I compared the two. And then I was down looking at my phone for about 3 minutes. I look up, it's gone. It's completely gone. Never showed back up.
Really?
Dell checked his flight checker and he's going, well, there's all kinds of flights that are going through here. I said, it wasn't an airplane. I know it wasn't an airplane because it did not move, but it kept going from 1 light to 2 to 3. It was changing colors and it was kind of going up and down and a little bit just around, but it was staying in the local vicinity. Joe said he didn't know what he thought it was. He thought it might have been maybe a drone or what have you. He said, we'll have to check and see, if anything else was kind of picked up in the area. But where we live in Canada, it's really strange because we live about 35, 40 minutes from the Minnesota border, right smack dab in the middle of Canada, Thunder Bay. We've got all kinds of crazy stuff going on here lately. I've been getting people contacting me locally, paranormal, all, you name it. So go figure.
Now, do you think that with with all the ET stuff going on, do you think that kind of like zoomed or zaps the paranormal activity with the spirits around, like give them more juice?
Maybe give them more juice if you ask me my opinion, but I think it just kind of, it's like whatever's going on energetically, it's like the whole shebang kind of increases, it seems like, in activity, experiences, things people are catching on camera. I don't know, Del, what do you think?
Well, I don't know. I've watched a couple of documentaries and stuff like that, and they've sort of put this link to paranormal and extraterrestrials to be sort of the same sort of experience where something has entered into the room and something has either taken you out of an area or and through some sort of means or something like that. They've talked about windows or voids in a room area that become, I guess, like a black wall, and something transfers out of there, and then the wall reappears again, that it's solid. So I don't know if maybe some experiences could be extraterrestrial, paranormal crossover, like they're almost the same thing, but just the understanding by the person might not be, or whoever's telling them might be something different. They'd say that it was a dimensional being or it was an extraterrestrial. Who knows? They could be probably maybe the same. I'm not
It
sure.
was a good question that Sean asked. Were you there for it, Joe?
It's it's a question that the UFO and paranormal people have been arguing about for years. You got your purists, which of course only believe that UFO stuff is related to UFO stuff and paranormal stuff. But the problem is paranormal means anything outside of normal, which obviously UFOs are. So it kind of, any way you want to fight about it, does really fall under the paranormal. But there are instances where we see after or before, sometimes before a visit. Sometimes you'll see, the best way to describe it is a poltergeist, because things start moving around the house. You'll have objects start turning themselves on, turning themselves off. You have stuff moving around. Your animals will get all freaky, weird, because they know something's coming. So in that aspect, you could definitely consider that a poltergeist. But is it or isn't it? Is it a poltergeist, but a definition of the paranormal field? That's an argument in itself.
No, but like you had said, right, Sean? Do you think that there are paranormals almost zapping energy from anything UFO or ET? Right? If I understand you correctly,
exactly.
Well, it could be charging them. Yeah, if there was a remnant of a poltergeist in a house and this energy was coming by, it may charge it back up. Or if there was a ghost that was fading out or something, one of those loops that in time where something was, it could be recharged by that. Maybe. Right. But again, that's an argument within itself.
Like we watched this weird Netflix series that's new on, not really ET so much. What was it called, Del? The brand new Cherry Red or something?
Yeah.
That was crazy. This is about the spirit, and it told the story about meeting this white jaguar almost 1,000 years ago and what had happened with it. And it was jumping host to host to host to stay alive still. It was crazy. It was like a mini series. You have a night. It wasn't. I guess it was supposed to be horror, but then you figure
it was a horror story.
You never found out where this original being came from. Was it like, it sounded like it was human, but was it? It sounded like it had extra abilities. Was it ET? I don't know.
Our problem is there's been 6 extinctions on our planet, 5 great extinctions on our planet. depending on which argument you want to take.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing that, you just don't know who was here before us.
Exactly.
Even our scientists can't say equivocally that there was no intelligent life here before us. There's just no way. It's not a good argument. I mean, man, since the last great extinction to mankind, it's only been 63 million years. Well, each one of those 5 extinctions lasted 100 million, 200 million, depending on who you want to argue with, to the last one 250 million years. So if it truly lasted long, it's easily for something intelligent to have rose in that time period and moved and went to the stars and left and came back, or left permanently when they knew the planet was going to die. Or, as far as we know, these mass extinctions happen maybe triggered by something, maybe as we're traveling through the cosmos, because most humans don't stop to think about our planet. They live on our planet, but they really don't think about it. Our planet is a spaceship, people, and we're all astronauts. First, it's spinning around at 60,000 miles per second. I mean, it's just hauling ass. And then it's moving around the solar system, orbiting our sun. But our sun is orbiting our galaxy. So we're never in the same place. We're always moving, and we're moving up and down. Not only are we just going around an elliptical, but we're also moving up and down. And we're passing through star clusters and near nebulas and stuff like that. You never know what it was that truly, it could have been like we passed through a bunch of red giants and the planet's mostly irradiated, but a small section wasn't, so that's where it survived. We just don't know what it causes it. We think it was the asteroid last time, but science has a hard time with the asteroid because it doesn't quite explain everything, especially where it hit in the Yucatan Peninsula. You would have thought more of the reptilians would have survived. So it's an argument with a lot of people on how that went down or why it went down. And I understand that it fell apart one thing after another, but still, you would have thought with all those caucuses laying around, there's a lot of meat, a lot of predators out there, a lot of carrion eaters. They wouldn't have passed. Now, the ones that died from heat, a lot of them went to live in caves and underground and stuff like that. So they're just not convinced that it killed as much as we think it did. So you got all these little things, but we don't know where it is. So that's another thing people don't think about. As our little asses are traveling through space, we're passing other solar systems and other planets going the other way or moving on an elliptical. So they can see us just like we can see the constellations in the sky. And the whole time now that we're doing this, we are just beaming shit into space like we're insane. I mean, we are like a beacon. It's beep, beep, beep. Like, when you hit a truck backing up, that's us. Beep, beep. I mean, now we're almost 100,000 light years out. 100 light years out. I mean, that's ridiculous. There's so many planets inside that 100 light years, it's not even funny. And like I said, we're moving through the galaxy. We're just moving around as a big beacon. And of course, our beacons get stronger and noisier. Now we're sending satellites out that are out into the cosmic space now, beeping away. Hey, look at me. Not only that, we send out satellites with was B negative on board. Where we're located at, how to find this. I'm saying, wait, do people, not everybody's going to be nice, even in interstellar space. So why did we do that? Right. I know we're in a hurry to meet somebody, and we don't want to feel all alone in the cosmos, but still.
Careful what you ask for.
Yeah. Even Steve Hawkins and them talked about, what the hell are y'all doing? Do you know? Because right now, so the 1931 Olympics, Hitler was presiding them. That's the first thing anybody will hear in real signal. We actually got broadcasters ahead of that, but they're so weak and distorted you won't be able to know what they're saying. But that's the first one. It'll be crystal clear. And right now it's 100 years out there, 100 light years out. That's way out. I mean, it's way out there. So, you're sitting there, some alien, you're like, what the hell was that? Or he's speaking in German, presiding over the games. But from that point forward, that's what you start hearing. You're hearing about Hitler and America on the rise, and then World War II, and then on and on and on. Of course, there's I Love Lucy in there and all kind of space shows and God knows what else. So all you can hope is that they actually understand that it's entertainment and not the way we actually live.
You never know.
I always think of that movie Galaxy Quest. There might be some stupid aliens out there. You just don't know. But
we're a young race. We are. That's what whether you hear it from Spirit or wherever, we are a young race compared to any ideations before us. Like you said, Joe, what is our sixth time around? So
yeah, so humans are 2 million years old. So that means we have not even made it around the galaxy, not even one time yet as a species. Not even once.
This is why I like coming on your show, Joe, because I learn with everybody. I learn from the master, Lori.
Yeah, well, we have fun talking, but it's because people don't realize it. It's like when I go lecture sometimes and I say you got a reptilian section in your brain. You see them go,
Oh, everybody flips out when you
They're
hear
like,
that.
no, Joe, we do not. And I'm like, you do. I said, and now it's great now because now I can say, you don't believe me? Flip your phone open. Go ahead, and start typing it in. It's not even an argument anymore. They can
Hmm.
just know. So, but nobody believed when I first started lecturing. People looked at me like I was stupid. Like
Hmm.
you're on crack, Joe. There's no reptilian. I said no, and it's an important section of our damn brain. And then now you can say that we were a reptile at one time and we evolved forward and interbred or whatever we did. That's what evolution would have you believe. But if you listen to the Egyptians, the Sumerians, and the Anunnaki, I mean not the
You're reading my
the
mind,
Egyptians.
Joe. I was just
Yeah, if you
thinking
listen to
about
the
that.
Dogon, the Egyptians, and the Sumerians, you're like, because they have big stories about how all this happened.
Hmm.
How the human race came to be, how it got its reptilian parts when the reptilians interbred with us. So it gets quite in detail, and you just got to kind of wonder how much of that is actually true and how much of it's not. And since none of us existed, none of us knew, none of us lived at the
You know
time.
what made sense to me? I had Paul Anthony Wallace on my show twice. He's from Australia and he was a pastor. Now he's got 5D, I think, on YouTube as his channel and stuff. But he's really studied the Sumerian scrolls and he was talking about this. That's what I was thinking about with the Anunnaki, what he could find from the scrolls. And he believes that they were looking that we were like a slave race, right? If you get into that theory. But he thinks that they may have made human 1.0, but we were too advanced, we were too intelligent. So his thoughts when he was on my show was possibly maybe they've dumbed us down to what we are now, with no disrespect. Because we got into the topic about people that have had brain tumors or people that have had head injuries or been in comas and they wake up and all of a sudden they're able to do something they weren't before. He said, like, where did that come from? Maybe it always was in our brain, but because of the head injury, something switched the light switch on. And that's why it's a theory. He wasn't saying it was true, but
No,
it's
no,
certainly
but
something to think about.
and most of them get their. A lot of that stuff is based on ICAR research, and some of
Hmm.
it's based on. I can't forget the gentleman's research. He was 50 years before us.
Hmm.
We actually learned quite a lot from him, but these days it's interesting because you listen to all the different Sumerian stories and text, and then
Hmm.
you listen to the Dogon, which the Dogon in itself is an oxymoron. I mean, they shouldn't even exist. As far as we know, there's no possible way that they know anything that they know. First, they tried to say it was a great big hoax, and they proved that was wrong. I mean, come on, the guys knew. So the first expedition that ever went there found out this about the Dogon, that they knew about Sirius A, B, and C. Okay, which by the
Hmm.
way, you can only be seen by a radio telescope. C we just found in the last 50 years. Both of them we found last since the radio telescope was invented, just in the last 150 years. So these guys, they're 200 years ahead. They're telling them about this. They're telling them about circulation in our body. They're showing where they've done brain surgery, just like the Egyptians had done brain surgery. They had advanced knowledge of things that just couldn't be for a tribe that lived in the
Hmm.
mountains not far from Egypt. I mean, it makes no sense. And then the kicker, we all find out. So they said, well, we don't believe them. So they knew the mass of Sirius A. So they knew if you took a pebble-sized mass and you tried to bring it to our planet, it would go straight through our planet. That's how heavy, how
Are
dense.
you talking about this uh I guess tribe or race of people that it's in
It's a
Ecuador and
tribe,
one of the okay, you know why? Because the guest I'm having on tonight lives in Ecuador. We're going to be talking about because I'm thinking, where have I
but
heard
it's a
that
different.
name?
But it's a different tribe. I know
Okay.
if it's from Ecuador, it's either the Naskins or the I can't remember the name of the other ones. No, the Dogon live in the mountain range between what would be old Sumeria and modern day Egypt today. They're supposed to be the descendants. Actually, the
He might have
Egyptians.
been. He might have been. I might have just
Yeah,
not
he
heard
might
him
have been,
correctly.
but the Egyptians are
Because I
supposed to be the
recognize the name,
descendants of these
Joe.
guys. Yeah, because the Dogon, the Egyptians, are supposed to be the not the descendants of the Egypt. The Egyptians are supposed to be descendant of the Dogon.
Hmm.
They came first, and
And
nobody
they
really knows.
disappeared, right? They just
No,
came
no,
out
they're
of the
still there.
mountains.
No,
No, but they just came out of the mountains, he said, in the
yeah,
last 50 years.
they found them. No, these guys were found. The first time they were found was 100 years ago. I
Okay.
think it was in 1812 or 1816 was the first time they were found. No, this is an old tribe that goes back way, way, way back.
Hmm.
And it's strange when you hear anybody talk about the Dogon because their calendar is based on a 50.5 year orbit of Sirius A, which
Hmm.
we didn't even find out until 1930. But yet they knew it way back since they were walking around as a tribe, as far as we know, since they were first visited in the 1780s or something.
Okay.
So everybody's like, wait, what? How can that possibly? They knew it existed. They told them about Sirius A, B, and C, and then we found them later on. And we didn't find C until just very recent. I think it was in like the last 50 years or so. So it's impossible that some African tribe living up in the mountains not far from Egypt knew any of this. I mean, these are just, I mean, come on. Yes, the Egyptians were advanced for their time, but this is stuff far beyond even what the Egyptians were
Hmm.
doing. This is information that somebody was like, what the hell? Every now and then we find a tribe or we find something that says, what the hell? It doesn't fit. It doesn't belong. It's not supposed to be there. I mean, when you see, they hand their information down person to person, but they have drawings of the law. So there's 2 caves you can go in and it shows the entire circulation of a human body.
Hmm.
I mean, when did we learn this? Oh, that's right. We still haven't. Oh, sorry. No, they. I think it was some way back in the 70s or 60s when we actually learned about it completely. But, and I said the next person who actually did a drawing about it would have been was it Leonardo?
Da
Uh,
Vinci.
yeah. So, but still, when he did My Man or Modern Man or whatever it was. So here you've got people that are looking at stuff, but Da Vinci actually had corpses to work with, so it was different. The Dogon just learned this somehow, and they did brain surgery. How the hell do you? How do you even? First off, how do you diagnose that someone needs brain surgery when you living in the mountains in Africa? I mean, how do you even know that?
Maybe they're capable of scanning. Everything's
So,
energy, right? So maybe
so,
they could
so
scan it.
they showed where he did the surgery, but better than that, the skull had showed where it healed up and went on and lived, and it completely healed over, which means they lived for quite a long time afterwards. That's freaking amazing. I mean, and they're not the only people that did it. I'm kind of like, what the hell? These kind of things interested me because, or like the first time we knew electricity. I was always taught that Benjamin Franklin discovered electricity. Is that
Hmm.
right? That's what I
Yeah.
was taught. Shit, he ain't even close. First time it was discovered was 2,100, 2,200 years ago. They were using it to electroplate gold on this stuff.
Hmm.
Somebody took
Wow.
somebody took some rods and stuck them in some juice and made electricity and was using it. It was applicable electricity. I was like, okay, where did they come with? Who? How did they even figure that out? One day they spilled some juice, or they had some copper rods or something laying on a table, and they noticed it made a spark or something. I mean, how did they even come up with this? I mean, there are things that you stop and walk back that happened 2,000, 3,000 years ago that we're like, what? Do you know we can still not repeat 2,400 years later? We can still not repeat Roman underwater concrete. We cannot make it. We have not figured out how it's made. It holds up way better than anything. It's been holding on for 2,500 years. We don't have any concrete that can last that long. So what the hell? I mean,
Yeah, but how did Tesla know what he knew, right? Like
they
Tesla
just
was innovative. Like,
it's just things in our world have happened that suggest that there was someone else
hmm
imparting information. Whether it was extraterrestrial, whether it was God, whether it was something, a demon, I have no idea because I wasn't living at the time, but somebody was definitely around and about. And then you've got the Nazcans. When people ask me about aliens, I said, well, look, you got a tribe in Nazca. First, they used to board their children, put boards inside their children so their heads would boom up so that it would look like the aliens or the gods that used to come visit them personally. And then they built these vast things in the desert, 50 miles long. There's no possible way. You have to be 30,000 feet to see them. So, I mean, engineering's great. Modern engineering today might be able to do it with laser sights and scanners and satellite imaging and stuff. I don't know, just a chalk line walking across the desert, man. I'm just saying that's pretty damn good by anybody's means. And they're still there today. That's the best part. They're still there today.
well, I think it's
Wow.
pretty arrogant to think that we're the only people in the galaxy or the universe. I mean, that's pretty small-minded thinking. Never mind. I mean, it. Well, I shouldn't say everybody's open to it, but how many places can you look where somebody has had an encounter or shared a story or they've got pictures or what have you, right?
But
Yeah,
that's the way we were raised, Lori.
Mm-hmm.
That's
yeah,
how we were raised, to be
Mm-hmm.
ignorant. You
yeah.
know.
Mm-hmm.
We were, and we were raised that if it wasn't the alien, it was probably a damn demon in disguise. And but now the church accepts it. So the guys who used to tell us, beware, UFOs are demons and devil people. And now they're saying, oh, no, you know what?
Yeah,
There
Pope
may be
Francis
God
wants to
people.
baptize them.
I mean, so now we go, well,
He does.
Father Monsignor Balducci, when I met him in D.C., oh, God, 10 years ago, Paula Harris was a translator because his English wasn't all that great. And we got into a deep conversation about it. And this is his words exactly. He said this, and I'm quoting what he said, that they were spiritually higher than we were
Mm-hmm.
by far.
I can see that.
He said they knew far more about the way God worked and the way the universe worked and the way spirit worked than we will for at least 1,000,000 years. That's his own words. I actually had it recorded so I could actually repeat it somewhere else if I needed to play it again. It was a statement that at the time caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting someone this high up, he's a Monsignor, this high up in the church to say, oh no, not only do we believe they exist, but we think they're spiritually higher than we are. I was like, wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
And when he meant this, he meant even higher than the Pope. He wasn't even giving the Pope high. These were just on a spiritual level, because if what everybody says is true, these beings are anywhere from 300 or 400 million to 1 billion years old. So think about us as a developed race in just 1,000,000 years from now.
What I said, we're a young race. We are a young race.
Yeah. So, but think about that as we're spiritual. However, our spirituality is now. What will we learn in the next 1,000,000 years? And what will faith teach anybody in the next 1,000,000 years? 1 billion years from now, how would you feel about it? You might actually understand it better, or you may have even figured out a way to contact the creator in such a way that you can move forward and do the right things. It's hard to say because none of us were around, and none of us are going to be around in that time frames. But getting back to what I was saying earlier about us being astronauts, to Carla who asked me this, it takes between 225 million and 250 million years for the Earth or our solar system to orbit around our galaxy one time. That's it. So I'm saying, and it seems like the catastrophes happen about every 150, 200 million years. So it just kind of seems to fit in with this orbit pattern that we have going on. Well, we don't know what's on the other side of the damn galaxy until we get over there. I mean, we can see the stars and all, but we don't know if there's high radiation fields or something we don't know about. And then if it's true, we're what? Well, we're in the early stages, so we're still 150 million years away from the next extinction if it holds true. But see, that could kind of tell you kind of place you in the galaxy where it might actually be going on. We could look around and say, what the hell's going on out there?
Let's hope we don't keep hitting the same space, like you said, 150, 200
I
million years, and there's an event.
I would hate to think of 5 great extinctions, 5 great races that lived and died. Now there's nothing left of them, and we're the next one on the list. It kind of bothers me to think that, but it could be possibly true.
Forever.
And then there's the other thing humans don't think about. In about 3 billion years, our sun's going to go supernova, and it's going to eat all the planets up to Mars, which will make not Mars, but it'll make most of Jupiter's and Saturn's moons inhabitable. They'll become lush places like it is here. So things are strange out there. I've seen worse. What we got up here? What's this?
That's an interesting comment from YJ Overlander Canada.
We talk about hybrids a lot because it's hard to prove what an alien hybrid would be. So technically, anybody with green, blue eyes or Rh negative is an alien hybrid.
Interesting.
So that makes 15% of the world's population. That's what I'm saying. That makes 15% of the world's population hybrids. And get this,
have missing time though. We've talked about this before, right? So you think
you don't have to be Rh negative to be a contact dealer.
You said it could be in families, right? Like my mother would be the least person on the planet that would ever believe this, but she's Rh negative, green eyes, red hair, and
odds are she's been probed.
I think she has too, because I've told this story on here before, but anybody that hasn't heard it though, I went to some lights. I should have been 3 minutes in the car. I blinked. I know the area well. I've lived here my whole life. I woke up about 40 miles away in front of a building I've never seen. And my, and my eyes, like I opened my eyes. I didn't know where I was. My phone was ringing. It was the Dell. You're loud, dude.
Mute Dell. I can hear that airplane coming in.
So anyways, I didn't know where I was when he was calling me. He's going, where were you? We're only supposed to be like 5 minutes. And I kept saying, I don't know where I am. He said, what do you mean you don't know where you are? I said, I have no clue where I am. And I still have no idea what happened. Is it because of my mother's bloodline? I don't know.
It could be your mother's bloodline. It could be anybody's bloodline. I mean, it's definitely in bloodlines. We know that much, but we don't know why. And we all we know for sure is we can trace back things to all of the different to all the different contactors we got. So thanks to the DNA research, at both medical and location wise, we've kind of found clusters now. So there's really about 11 big clusters on planet Earth where you can find where lots of people seem to have been taken or moved to, but they seem to be clustering together. The other weird thing about this is 40 million or 40,000 years ago, O negative or RH negative was only 1%. 40,000 years later, it's 15%. So what's going to happen 40,000 years from now? Is it going to be
30%. 30.
Yeah, probably more. Probably 40 or 45. It slowly but surely looks like that the colored eyes and the other blood is taking over our population. And I hate talking about it because I don't want them to go around and start getting freaked out. So, we're putting together a new study on ICON. I'm going to go ahead and talk about it ahead of time. But and I'm going to involve a lot of people on the station. So we've started asking people to pay attention to people in power, people on TV, people in the music industry. And I want you to see how many of them have colored eyes versus people that have brown eyes. So just kind of start keeping account. So I was watching Lord of the Rings the other night. Everybody had blue eyes, but one person had green. There was no brown eyes in the whole damn movie.
But what about who plays Legolas? He has brown eyes in real life.
But
He's wearing contacts.
It doesn't matter. But you remember this. Brown eyes make up. I know, but think about this. Brown eyes make 96% of the people on Earth, so you should see them all the time, by far the most. When you watch television, that is not true. You see far fewer brown eyes than you see colored eyes. And not just in that, you see about 50-50 in politics. So remember, green and blue eyes make up 4% of the world's population. That's it. They don't even make up 1 billion people. But yet you see them on television far more than they should be seen.
So you're telling me I live with an alien, he has blue eyes? Del?
I'm just saying that it's a weird thing that they have so much control when there's so few of them.
Mm-hmm.
See, people never
really
realize.
Is it the persona that they put out? Is it their
one of the things is blue and green eyes show up better on television than brown eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, the actors and music people seem to by far have more colored eyes for some reason. And they also seem to be more outgoing and have a lot of talent in a lot of different areas. They seem to multitask really well. It's a really weird thing. It's like 15% of our population has been set in a different course than the other 85%. It's weird, and people can deny it all they want, but all you got to do is watch television and watch. You're going to notice that. So if you're watching any TV show, so for every one colored blue or green eye you should see 10 brown eyes. That's what you should see. If you look at our politics, that's what it should be, because they only make up 4%. So when you're looking at Congress, when you look at Congress, the majority of people in there should have brown eyes, but that is not what you see. You see usually about 50-50. That's something weird, and people can say whatever they want, but since it's only 4%, and there's so many of them in entertainment, in places that they can be seen.
I think it's where you live and where it was filmed, Joe, because think about over in Asia, to have blue eyes and blonde hair or green eyes.
And in India too.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what you're going to see. But in America, it's no different. Only 4% of people in America have brown eyes. And if the 4% were in India or China, you would see it. And by the way, if you have colored eyes in India or China, you're automatically a millionaire. Automatically.
Really? Wow.
Boom. You'll be on TV or radio or something. I mean, anywhere you can be seen immediately because it's such a rare thing. Shit used to be Chinese women with green eyes were sold for multiple millions of dollars. Now that it's supposed to be illegal over there, it's not supposed to happen because it's I think they said it was 1 in 150 million or something. No, 1 in 25 million have them.
So they say see it in the African American community too. Green eyes, you are.
That's the point that when you see you're making you help them make my point. So when you look at Africa, which is majority brown eyes, and you look at, of course, China, which is majority brown eyes, and you look at India, of course, is majority brown eyes. Europe is the normal 4% colored eyes, 90% brown eyes. Look at South America, majority brown eyes. Now go look at the leaders in South America and see what color eyes they have. They ain't brown. See, that's the point. The people who have these colored eyes seem
demons don't count, though, right? Because our leader, I'm sure that's what he is, but he does have blue eyes.
He's because he's a demon. But see, I'm not saying that they're good. See, this is the point I'm trying to make. I'm not necessarily saying because they have colored eyes or RH negative that they're good people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying it seems to be easier for them to move up the chain than it is for other people because it's such a disproportionate amount of them. In different places.
Maybe it has to do with conscience and what they feel.
Well,
about
if they're more involved, Well,
stepping on others.
if you read, there's a thing where you can go read about Rh negative versus Rh positive
And you
people.
are right about this comment. I think it's a good one. Didn't Hitler have a blonde hair, blue-eyed thing on his mind for the perfect race? He was associated with the Aryans, the Nordics, wasn't he?
Yes, he
Could be a
was.
clue. And you were very right about that, RJ
He's the one who
Overlander.
wrote. He's the one who wrote von Kamp, and he's the one who said the
Mm-hmm.
aliens came to visit him. So it's not just him. The leader before him also said Germany at the time was the
Yeah,
most
I agree.
advanced country on the planet. So that's who they would have been visiting in the first place. But it's a weird thing. There seems to have been contact on our planet off and on
Mm-hmm.
since man started walking on it.
I agree.
And when you look at some of the cave drawings in America and of course over in Europe, they got cave drawings in Europe 50,000, 55,000 years old that show you a silver disc, actually 3 silver discs flying what looks like a herd of deer with some guys running behind them with some spears, and then the disc shoots them down and the deers fall down and they just come and take them. The hell was that?
I thought you said the deer were flying. I was thinking of Santa Claus.
No, they were. That would have been good if they were flying. Oh, baby.
You're on a roll tonight, Lori.
I'll have to let my beard grow out for Christmas.
You're on a roll.
You can get it down about right here for Christmas.
Yeah.
Let it go all gray and stuff.
Well, isn't there some carvings and stuff from way back in the day? Somebody, it looks like somebody has a laptop. I've seen that picture. It's in stone.
Look at that. There you go. I like that.
There you go, Del. I like that.
I missed it.
It's just weird. It's just so disproportionate amongst our populations.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny. Go watch Chinese television and see what colored eyes are. The majority, it's about 50-50. I was watching the other day, and in Pravda, everybody's blue-eyed. All them damn Nazis must have moved to Russia afterwards or something.
Mm-hmm.
Even though
Russia, there is who you see on camera or whatever. I have to agree with you, Joe. And I think with what RJ Overlander, they just said, I don't agree with that. I don't think any of us do. But I think that's a good point. I think it's proving your point, Joe. What did Hitler know that we didn't? That he was so obsessed with the Aryan nation and blonde hair and blue eyes. Like they did. We know they had contact with ETs and
because
what
it was the Rh negative. He just didn't understand what it was. But it's a weird thing, and
what are you showing us, Del? Can't see it.
They look like indigenous with colored eyes, and you know what? I have met Indians, regular Native Americans with blue or green eyes.
Yeah, especially Métis.
Which just suggests the population inbred with somebody down the line.
Well, don't you? Del's part Cree. He's Métis.
But I have yet to meet an Indian tribe. I've talked to, I don't know, 15, 20 over the years, probably more than that actually. And because every time I travel, when I'm in my car or my truck, I try to stop at a reservation. I've never met one that didn't have some lore about sky people, aliens coming down to visit or talk.
Gotta hold it up, Del.
Hold it up.
Yeah, it's just that there's that tribe in Southeast Asia that it's an Indonesian tribe on the island of Bhutan whose people have one distinct feature that sets them apart: blue eyes. And then it says part of this thing there, it's part of this syndrome called WAARDENBURG, Waardenburg syndrome. It's a group of genetic conditions that cause hearing loss and changes in pigmentation of the hair, skin, and eyes. So there's a small subgroup of these people that normally have brown eyes, but this small subgroup have developed blue eyes.
Damn aliens.
Sometimes they have like one brown, one blue. Sometimes it's both blue, and then some just all brown at all. But it's just this weird part, and this is out of an area that's sort of like this isolated area where this genetic syndrome has sort of happened.
Oh, they've upped the population now to brown eyes are only 80% now. Ooh, they losing ground fast. Blue eyes are 10%, amber eyes are 5%, hazel eyes are 5%.
But you rarely see violet eyes, right? Wasn't Elizabeth Taylor, they say, used to have violet colored eyes? Like you don't see that very often. That's an odd color.
Let's see.
That's an interesting comment, Overlander Canada. It says, I often wondered if Hitler was acting on his own volition or if he was somebody else's proxy leader. I think the same.
He was, well, you never know what was going back then. Again, that's one of them things we weren't just around for. Carolyn, I know a lot of people with brown eyes, actually. My wife has brown eyes.
I have brown eyes.
Yeah, quite a few of our hosts have brown eyes because we're not, in the old days, hosts didn't get to come on TV. Now they do. So, you see.
Yeah.
It's,
well, with my eyes, now they're brown, but there are times
They
where
change.
they look like wolf eyes, that blue, and then there's a lot sometimes that they turn
Are
green.
they? Would you consider them hazel?
No.
No,
Well, I don't know between
because
brown and hazel.
hazel goes from like a brown to a gray to a blue to a green, depending on what you're wearing, what the light's like.
Right now, I'm not being funny when I ask this question. When that happens, am I being zapped by the aliens or what? And I'm not
Mm,
being funny about
I don't
that.
know. That's an
No,
interesting thing there.
it's a good question. The reason why I say that to you, my eldest son, my ex-husband is half Japanese. He has brown eyes, but his father was Caucasian. Now I have brown eyes, but my mother has green eyes, okay? My one son, my ex-husband and I all had brown eyes. My eldest son, when he was born, and for the first 2 years, people would say to him, would say to us, "Oh my God, you can tell who that kid's father is. He looks identical, or he did as a little boy to my ex." But he had sky blue, brilliant colored blue eyes. As he got older, they then went to emerald green. He's 26 now. I would say they're a hazily kind of greeny brown, but they change color too. That's why I asked you.
Okay.
But that's a good question you asked, Sean. I don't think that's a dumb question. I think
Yeah,
it's a good one.
it blows me away sometimes. And I don't know, before I started on, being on this program and starting the podcast, I always thought it was like a moon ring. My eyes are like a
Okay,
moon ring, you know what I
could be,
mean? Like
could be.
changing, but sometimes they get like so blue, like a wolf eye. If you look at a picture of a wolf and their eyes, that's what they look like. It's crazy, you know. And
Maybe that's after you come back. You must be around the full moon, man. You better watch that shit.
Maybe.
We might be out there wolfing and not even knowing it.
Okay, so the Overlander Canada mentioned the red-haired giants too. Like, do you believe the giants came from the Nephilim? Do you think they were ET? Like, what do you think they were?
Okay. God only knows what they were. You
Hmm.
know, all the angels are supposed to have blue eyes. So,
hmm,
and they did say that the angels came and found the daughters of men.
Hmm.
So maybe that's where the blue eyes come from.
That's an
Uh,
interesting comment.
well, I'm just saying. Well, we don't know what the angels were. I mean, it could be angels. It could be anything else for that matter. But Gretchen, to answer your question, the rarest eye color is green. It's a little less
Hmm.
than 2%.
Hmm.
It used to not be. Actually, I think the red eyes were, or the amber eyes were the rarest, but it's up to 5% now. Yeah,
Some
green
people
eyes
have
are.
gray though. Some people have gray. Some
Yeah,
people
but
have
grays.
violet.
Yeah, grays and violets fall into the blues. Though for some reason they lump them into the blues.
Do
I'm
they?
not sure. Yeah, because they're just another shade of blue. They a gray just with some of the white washed out is just a gray. I mean, from a blue is a gray, and a violet's definitely got some blue in it somewhere.
Red
Well, don't
eyes are
don't
very rare.
albinos have red
Yeah, they're
eyes?
five
Yeah,
percent
thanks,
now.
Johnny
Dell. I was
Winter?
just saying that. Red eyes are very rare. You just
And
read my
yeah,
mind.
yeah, they
Hmm.
had amber eyes are 5% is what they are.
No, they're
Yeah,
blood red with an albino. They have no melanin, right? So their hair's white, their skin's white. They usually have vision problems. Their eyes are pure blood red because there's no melanin. You can see the blood flowing behind the iris.
yeah.
Hmm.
whoa.
Hmm.
Spanish honey fish nuts. What? What are you writing in there?
I think that's a good comment. That's what I was saying. Interesting comment while you were speaking. Sorry. He said spinach, honey, fish, nuts can all change the color of your eyes. As a nurse, I can't say yes or no. I don't think I've ever heard that, but just because I haven't heard of it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Hmm.
I'm gonna have to find a map to find out where we are in the Milky Way right now. I'm kind of curious now how we're moving along through space and time. Yeah, but you see, that's the thing. So we're 2 million years old. That means we have to live another 248 million years just to go around the Milky Way one time
Wow.
as a race. So that
What I
means,
have heard where we are, and this is according to Augie Noss when I had him on my show, because I was asking him the question, why does it seem like manifestation seems to be working quicker right now? And I've been seeing this with different people, even people that don't believe in the law of attraction. He said where we are with all the planets all aligned or something, that we only show up every 100,000 years or something at this point in where we are in the galaxy. That was a couple months ago. That was his answer. So
yeah. Well, that's probably on a different. What the hell was that? Sorry. I lost my whole train of thought when I popped
Well,
up right there.
no, where we are in the galaxy, like I said, that's what he pointed out. So it wasn't coming from an energy perspective or anything. I forget how he explained it. It had something to do that we're not in the way of where like the Van Allen belts are or something to that effect. I'm not doing it justice, but that's where he said all the planets are pretty well in alignment, and that doesn't happen. Like it only happens every 100,000 years or something, he said. Mm-hmm.
This is interesting.
I
Interesting
guess
show
it depends
tonight.
on which way we're going. Jim, if I had to pick the rarest colors, I would do pink, red, and green, and then after that would probably be the shades of blue, or you could put violet and gray amongst them. See, they for some reason they only like to separate them certain ways, and I'm not sure why. They do split hazel and green, so don't ask me. They split them, but I know I've seen people with pink eye and I've seen people with red eyes, and very few.
With actual pink eyes, you've met them, Joe? Like
Yeah,
actual pink?
yeah.
Interesting.
The weird part was it was an Indian reservation. It was
Wow.
this is what's weird about this. The person I met with pink eyes and the person I met with red eyes were both on Indian reservations. It's
Oh
just
wow.
weird. Yeah, one was up in Colorado and one
Okay,
was in
this is for
Seattle,
you, Joe.
well,
You
in
got to read
Washington.
this comment. It says, loving the show, by the way, Joe. You're a fountain of knowledge, man. Consistently spot on with your assessments and ability to see more than one angle.
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah, well, you have to be if you're going to stay in this and try to make sense of what the hell's going on. You know, somebody asked me one time. It was funny. I was right in the middle of a good lecture too, and she broke my stride. She said, "Let me ask you something." She said, "Have you ever admitted that you were wrong about anything?" I said, "You got to be shitting me, right?" She said, "No, I'm serious." I said, "No, obviously you have never listened to me before." She's like, "Why?" I said, "Let me tell you." I said, "We're a research organization." I said, "When we started out, we thought that the grades worked for the reptilians and humans, which we know is bullshit now. We had no idea about a lot of things." I said, "We thought that everybody abducted evenly and equally and shit. We found that that was totally bullshit." I said, "Over the years, we have had to correct statements we have made because
You changed
fortunately,
your perspective on
well,
information that you've obtained
the
or learned.
research did. Yeah, the
New
research that came
information
in.
came along.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
stuff came on. It's like okay. We started a blood type study. Now, let me be honest about this. I'm gonna tell you what I expected to find from the blood type study. I expected to find that the abductees were 37% O, 38% A, 1.5% this, 7.7% RH negative. I mean O negative. And that's what I expected. I expected to see what the world's ratio is. Is what I expected to see. And I expected to see the majority of people being taken being RH positive and brown eyed because 80% brown eyed. That's not what we found out. So, because we also asked eye color when we asked about your blood type. And when people write down, almost everybody who types RH negative have a colored eye. There are a few that are brown eye, but the majority of them have colored eyes. And it's just weird. So these are people that have been investigated now that have had this stuff in their part of the organization or people that have been part of the organization or been investigated by the organization. And when you look at them, you're kind of like, so when we sat down and did the first data lay that we released right after Katrina, we were all stunned. I mean, there was 80. I'm sorry. At that time, there was 46,000 off the website and about 30 something thousand from our file. So that was about 70 something thousand. Now there's over 80 something thousand from the website and over 80 from the file. So, but at the time it was 80,000, and we were like 60. It was like 68.5% of contactees had RH negative. It just threw us for a loop. We didn't know what to think about it. None of us even really knew. I knew a little bit about RH negative because I am RH negative, but I mean, I knew the basic shit, like, just different stuff about it. But I actually got hardcore research. I got with these 3 hematologists that would help me work out these maps and stuff. And I mean, I started learning, what the hell is RH negative? Why is it important? Why would Mother Nature create it since it kills babies? I mean, I got into it deep. And the more I learned, the more questions I had. It just never made any sense. And then I stopped one day and I realized that, 40,000 years ago, it was 1%. 40,000 years later, it's 15%. It's growing. And it seems to be growing fairly quickly, along with colored eyes.
Even
You
as
think
a
that the
nurse,
diversity is coming more quickly there now because we're finding out more stuff that black ops programs and black budget programs have done manipulation on
Maybe
unwitting
so.
populations in hospitals and stuff like that in China, in the U.S., in the U.K., even in Canada?
It might be. It may be. See, we got a new program running. I really don't know how this is going to be find out because it's hard to find out some of this data. So recently, I launched it. We got a bunch of Indian guys that work for us, or Indian, I should say, Indian, not ambassadors. I was going to sorry guys, not ambassadors, but reps for the organization. And then there's about 11 of them all together. And what I'm looking for right now is what is the percentage of Rh negative people in India, not in the world, but just in India. I also want to know what the percentage is in China, because in the United States we know it's 15% and it's growing. I mean, they're forecasting 20% within the next 500 years to 1,000 years, so it's growing pretty fast.
Well,
So,
what I was just going to add very quickly, as a nurse working in labor and delivery and all this stuff, well, even being a mother myself, they never tested for this. Like my brother was almost dead because of the RH factor, but now they automatically test. At least I can speak for North America. I don't know anywhere else for RH negative, and they test for it, I believe, in the 5th month of pregnancy because it's becoming that common that they're testing for it now.
yeah. Well, that's the reason the whole United States, United States and Australia came up with the anti-DNA gene so they can give you a shot when they find out.
Yep,
In the old days, in the United States, you used to have to get blood tested before you got married.
yeah.
That was just a law. You had to get blood tested before you got married because they wanted to know what the chances of you having, a stillborn baby was. And if it was Rh positive versus negative, the chances were good.
Mm-hmm.
Today, they test better. They have the gene now that they can stop it. They can change it. So it's different now, but so it's allowing these negative children. Our scientists, or I should say, science is allowing for this negative to grow, and it's growing fast. At its present rate, I mean, it will only take probably less than 100,000 years to be 50% of the population.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I think the big place that we should be actually be looking at is
That's the
all the
question.
testing and with stuff that's being done by Gates Foundations and other things there in Africa. I think that's basically an experimental soup plantation over there.
Yeah, it
all
is.
The stuff
And you don't know what the hell's coming
giving
out
them
of it.
drugs for everything. Like I think you would see the biggest change happening.
India and China is
now.
where the United States was 70 years ago when we were doing experiments, like when we were putting smallpox and different diseases in the blankets and giving them to indigenous populations, or doing sickle cell and personally giving black sickle cell so we could see how it worked. That, don't believe me, people, it's the truth. That's what America did, and they got busted for doing it. So I agree. I think both China and India is doing it. I think there's such large populations that not many people's not paying attention.
In
I
Africa?
And I think it's in Africa too. I think it's a great place to run these kind of experiments and say, and you all know, or we all know, that Bill Gates is into eugenics. He believes in population control. We don't know if the current billionaires do or not.
He's been caught. He's been kicked out of India and places like that with some of the stuff he's been doing.
Yeah, so it's, we don't exactly know what's going on. All we know is some 40,000 years ago, Mother Nature or extraterrestrial or something, panspermia, kicked in something new on the planet. For 2 million years, man was brown-eyed, brown-skinned, brown-haired, and O-positive blood.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he was. And now, all of a sudden, 40,000 years into it, and people, in case you didn't know this, O negative is the purest form of blood known to man. It's where all of our hematological research come from, and it's the only universal donor. So, my friends that are in the 1.5 group, that's AB negative, and A positive is 1.5, AB positive is 1.5%, AB negative is 1.5%. But the thing of it is, they're not the rarest form of blood known to man. Do you know why? Because they can take Rh negative. They can actually take my blood, but I can't take theirs. I can't take anybody's blood but mine. So we are the rarest form of blood known to man at 7%, because anybody else, if you were dying on the side of the street and there was a guy, I could give you a transfusion.
Mm-hmm.
Don't matter who you are. Positive, negative, it doesn't matter. And that in itself is like, it would have took mankind working on this blood stuff tens of thousands of years to invent this. Something just gave it to us and said, here, look what we gave you. It's a gift. So whatever it is or however it got here, I'm grateful it is. I'm not grateful that I'm Rh negative, because every time somebody finds out, I mean, do you want to donate blood? Do you want to donate blood? Do you want to donate plasma? You want to donate blood? You want to shit. Now they offer me $100 for plasma and $150 for blood.
Well, with me, real quick, a little personal story with me. I was over in Scotland. I was stationed in Holyloch, and so I have that O negative blood. So whenever my company would have blood drives, I would do it because they would take my blood over to the children's hospital for the babies, right? But when they found out that I was in Scotland, in 1985, they came out with the mad cow disease. Okay. And they took it back 5 years. So I cannot donate my blood. They won't take my blood because of the mad cow disease. And it really, really upsets me because I know my blood can go for anything out there.
Yeah.
I just
Well,
wanted to share that.
well, the
It's weird.
interesting. Oh,
Yeah.
I was just going to add something quickly, Joe. The interesting thing, what I have noticed as a nurse giving blood transfusions, never mind organ donations, but blood transfusions, lots of stuff can pass from getting a blood transfusion. Somebody that's never had an allergy before, I have seen people develop allergies. I have seen people even get memories. It's very rare with that with blood transfusions, but memories that weren't theirs. Definitely, there's quite a bit of research on that though with organ donation.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. So
It is
what's
weird.
being
I've heard
carried
about
in your blood
instances of
and
it.
your cells?
I have heard instances of it before, but
I've seen it.
but still here. So here, so if there really is extraterrestrial visitation somewhere 40,000 years ago, it's possible that they said we're going to write man's course. So maybe this is what really went down. So the Sumerians might have been, and these were later dates than what we believe in. So we're putting all of our stuff at 6,000 years. It's probably much later than that, probably more like 100,000 years. But regardless, somebody came along and said, okay, whoever originally invented this race. So the Sumerians, supposedly the human type aliens, supposedly according to Sumerians, the human type race came here and used some type of animal on a planet mixed with their own DNA to create a subservient race. They didn't call them a slave race for some reason. They said subservient race, meaning that they had rights, but they really weren't bright enough to understand what their rights were.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't sentient the way you and I are, and they were kind of, yeah, they could name animals, they could make meat, they could plow a field, they could make babies. But they didn't know why they were doing what they were doing. And they never asked questions on why or how. They never stood up to the people around them. They just took theirs for what it was. They said both, and this is what's so great about this story is, so the Sumerians, the Dogon, and the Egyptians talk about a reptilian race that came in and freed this subservient race by interbreeding with the population and making them more aggressive and more aware. So the reptilians interbred with the women. And the first time I heard this story, I really thought they meant that the children were like deformed, like reptilian faces and some shit. That I don't know. But the more I listened and the more I understood, I realized that they meant it was an attitude change. They became more aggressive and like, you plowed a damn field. Whatever. Look, just 10,000 of you and 2 million of us. You go plow the damn field. We want to start our own society, and they say that's actually the true upsprings of the Sumerian race came from that, which may or may not be true because none of us know. But the Egyptians talk about it and the Dogon talk about it. So something happened that these three great races all decided they needed to talk about this. Something went down. And it does seem like, and we know for a fact we have a reptilian section in our brain. We can't escape that. And whether,
But maybe they wanted to right that wrong, because that's kind of where I was going with what I had sort of been shared
might have
before, that we actually, so we won't call them slave then, like you said, whatever it may be, but there was a race like this apparently. But we were talking about, like I said, when I was talking to Paul that was on my show, that he believes from studying the ancient Sumerian texts that there actually was a human 1.0, and then they realized they were far too intelligent. Apparently we were, he surmises telepathic, we could do all kinds of things, and they realized we were too intelligent to want to be able to agree to do whatever we were told. So it's almost like they downgraded us, he said. But maybe if what really happened, this is just a hypothesis, is after whatever happened. I agree about the reptilian part of the brain, but maybe they upgraded the human race to kind of try and fix things. You know what I mean? Maybe that's where the Rh negative came from. Maybe that's where it all came.
Well, no, actually, Rh negative came in much later than that. That's what's so weird about all of this. I actually kind of felt that same way, Lorelei. I kind of thought that maybe the RH came from the reptilians because they were in, but it's looking more and more like the RH came from the Greys.
Okay, but I didn't mean the reptilians. I meant.
Well, no, I know what you meant. I know what you meant. But we have the firm story of the reptilians interbreeding with this population. So,
I agree.
So we know there was a downgraded population. And by the way, that particular story, there is a story like that. So they said the original people who came here, they Sumerians said they came in these great white dome things. They made great white dome cities out of them, and that's where they lived. They said the original race was created exactly like them, except they could breathe the atmosphere on the planet. They were designed to go out and work the field and plow the field and do the whole 9 yards and do it like that. That race is the race that decided to create our original ancestors, not us, but the race in between us and them. Because they were like, well, wait a minute, we're omnipotent too. Screw this. We're going to go design a race to dig. We're not getting our hands dirty. We're too intelligent for that. And they said that's what actually happened. But that's the first race So they're actually ancestors of the first races. They're just the second race, and then they created the nasty race that the reptilians interbred with. That became the more modern race that's here today. But even then, even at that moment when the reptilians interbred with that race, it still isn't us. We didn't come later on until the Greys decided to enter their DNA into us. And it's one of the reasons I always tell scientists, friends of mine, you're never going to find alien DNA because we already have all three DNAs in our system. I said, it's not going to be any different than ours. I said,
so how did they prove it,
just
though,
more
Joe?
advanced.
If you said we're never going to find it, how did they prove that we have that DNA already? They're all three types.
Well, the reptilian DNA, they know we have. Well, right. So nobody can argue that. And the human, we're just who we are. The gray things can only be the Rh negative if they are related to us. That's the way they're related to us.
Okay.
They're the ones that actually gave it to us. So what makes it interesting to me is, and it's always made it interesting. So 3 races doing abductions, doing family line abductions for probably 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 years at least.
Right.
So they've been doing this for a long time. About 1.5 billion people probably a day that's been affected by it. But what's weird about it is who's in charge now. So we notice that the human race started out in charge, and then we know the reptilians came here because they felt like this was more their planet than the other ones, and they interfered. The Greys came here as the peacekeepers for the light beings because they didn't want the reptilians, the freaking humans, to get into it over this planet. They were like, whoa, that's not going to happen. Because see, that's why that's why so many people used to think the Greys worked for the light beings. I mean, worked for the reptilians or worked for the humans. It wasn't until later on when we found that the classes of Greys that we realized the Greys are far more advanced than the reptilians or humans. I mean, like hundreds of millions of years more advanced. All their craft are alive. They can interface with their craft, both in a physical form and a mental form. The humans and gray reptilians are still using what we would call wireless clicking button. They still have physical things they touch, but there's no wire or anything, So it's like everything's Bluetooth because then you can't even see anything. When we hear contactees talk about it, they'll say they'll be touching this board here and they'll be coming up over here and there's nothing in between it. He said it's just like it knows to come out and work. Like, yeah, you ever heard of Bluetooth? And it's just really more advanced than ours. That's all. And it might be, when we recovered some of this shit way back in the day, it might be where some of this stuff came from. Really, we had an explosion in technology somewhere. I mean, everything. Just in my own lifespan, we went from no television. Well, from one channel television,
Joe,
to everything is wireless. I mean,
we're ancient. You're older than me. I say exactly.
We are the ancient ones that we're.
We have the ancient wisdom. Because think of what we came from as little kids to where we are now.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's been insane. The only period where we probably get close to it would be from like the late 1800s going into like the 1900s.
That's true.
Yeah, so that might compare, but we came through the electronic boom and things are amazingly different. I mean, if I really wanted to, I could tear my house down, turn it into a giant computer now, and say, computer, sleep, computer, turn on this.
And then who's listening to you, Joe, when you
do that? I got 3 Alexas in the house, and I got 3 Alexas in the house, and one what's her name? Siri, shut up, bitch. Well, look, the other was a couple of weeks ago before I went to Vegas. I'm sitting at the other computer next to me, right, in the nice chair. I'm all sitting there, and I was talking to somebody, and Siri started a conversation with Alexa, who's in the other freaking room.
I was looking for a video of this the other night. I can't remember why, about horror stories of things that people have recorded on Alexa versus Siri. Too bad that you didn't record that, Joe. That would have been funny.
I was stunned. I'm sitting there going, I look at Siri, I'm like, Siri, shut up. Because I got Siri where you have to push the button before she activates. Oh, no, she's just talking to Alexa. And Alexa and I'm sitting there, what the hell? I don't even know what the hell they're talking about. Mm-hmm. It's insane, man. It's just so weird on how this shit works out sometimes. I don't know. It weirds me.
Okay, so this person, I want to give a shout out to Dave Petrella. Hey, Dave.
Hey, Dave, what's happening, baby?
He's asking a whole bunch of questions about stuff in the age of Aquarius. Dave is an amazing astrologer. You guys check him out.
I'm an Aquarius going through the age of Aquarius SRH negative green-eyed monster baby.
There you are. He's a monster, Joe. No, he's not. And then there's Stone Hobbit. I hope I'm going to read
Stone. How you doing, baby? I heard Stone on the girl show the other night.
Okay, so they got a question. Twice. Okay, so they got a question. It said, can any of you tell me what news on the new fleet? It looks like TE Command.
I don't know. I hear stories all the time about different fleets and different this and different that. Until one of my military friends or one of my friends in the government actually confirm it. See, I got a couple friends. I got two really good friends that work for one of the big aerospace. I'll just tell you Boeing, and another one that works for Sarah, Nevada. And then I got two friends over at Bigelow Aerospace, and I got quite a few friends in the government that actually
Hmm.
sought me out over the years. I didn't actually see, so I get bits and pieces from time to time. So originally they were talking about building a TR-3B fleet. I think it ended up being like 8 or 10 craft, and then they decided that it wasn't efficient enough. And then DARPA started trying a new ship, which they're not happy with either. And then they had built a few of the Aurora prototypes. I think there was 4 or 5 of the Aurora prototypes built, which may or not be still in flight, but they're kind of like the SR-71 on steroids. They're just badass to the bone. I mean, they can hit orbit in less than 8 minutes and be over Russia in less than 15.
Wow.
And there's no stopping them. I mean, you wouldn't even have time to alert your strategic command. Missiles would be falling on your head. So, but that's not what they were designed for. They were designed for lunar trips to take you to, get you to the moon in less than a day and back. So, this is for the future when we're supposed to be developing bases on the moon. Right now, I know there's 11 countries and 26 companies that are putting to the International Space Group about they want to put in space. They want to start putting hotels in space. And they want people like you and I to fly up there, spend a couple of days looking down at Earth. And I got to give them credit for this. I've been in a high altitude aircraft. Once you get that high, everything looks different. Now I haven't been in space, nothing that I could say officially anyway. So it's every astronaut I've talked to, every person I've talked to, because I've interviewed people that weren't astronauts at NASA that's been in space, teachers and doctors and different shit. Yeah, I'll tell you the same thing. It changes you. It makes you look at the world entirely different. You realize that we are just one world and we ain't a bunch of different people, and we need to get our shit together. And
Okay.
everyone tells you the same thing. They said it's a profound changing effect. So they're figuring the more people they can get into space, the more likely we are to become a one world government.
Oh,
Which
don't agree with that.
the thing about one world government is an interesting thing. It's either going to destroy us all or bring us enlighten us all. It's
Oh,
just
that's the problem with this idea of one world government is that you can't dismiss everything that's come up to this time because certain countries owe stuff to other people. You have products that are you have resources that are only available in certain areas to that. So how do you go and equate and calculate everything out and
you
level the
give
playing
everybody a
field at
score.
the end of it?
Well, you don't have to level the playing field. You just have to make sure everybody's being taken care of.
Yeah, but you said a
Uh,
score. That's what scares me. The
This is
score.
well,
this is a capitalist, communist control type world there, where you have people that
yeah, but that's what I'm
somebody wants to
saying.
be in control, and they'll never, no one will ever give up control,
And they don't
except for
have to. If you unite, one thing that the European alliance and the United States has proved, along with Canada as well, has proved you can unite a country and keep them together and prosper. So no, in Europe, the United States, Canada, most of Americas could all unite and still prosper. There wouldn't be a big change for none of us. The voting systems would be a little hanky fanky at first because y'all would want to do it one way and we want to do it another way, and everybody had to figure that
I'd
out.
be open to a new voting system.
But it would change, and we would change along with it because we would still be free. Where the problem comes in is countries like China who want to hold on to their people and don't want to give them that freedom. We don't agree with that, and that's going to always be a problem. China's a rising power in the world. It's number 2 power in the world right now, soon to be the number 1 power if America don't step its ass up. So it's one of those things that we have to watch. And we've been through this with Russia. And the world's been through this with Germany. So this isn't really a change for us. It's just now the only difference is the United States has the ability to kill the whole world in
Is
one
history
afternoon.
repeating itself because
Yes.
nobody's
You
learning
even
from the
look at the
I was
past?
United
thinking
Nations.
that.
The United Nations can't even agree cohesively
No,
all
I agree.
together.
It's
So
because they gave China and Russia a veto vote. You should have to earn that vote.
right,
You shouldn't be given that vote. And the United States for the same reason. The United States has abused that vote itself. We have abused it for things that we've wanted that we didn't want China or Russia to have. So we vetoed it, just like they vetoed us. So what has to happen then, like it happens in our country, you can override a veto vote with enough votes. So then you get your whole assembly to vote, and then if they override it, they override the vote, and the people who vetoed it just screwed. And that's the way it should be in a free society. But is China and Russia and the United States willing to give their military up to be controlled by one government that controls the whole world?
Oh man, no way.
Too many secrets.
Oh Lord.
Too many secrets going
So
on.
until we're willing to do that, it just we're screwed.
Because you got to be able to build trust to do something like
because
that.
you don't need all this military. Let me put it another way. So this year, I think $14 trillion between all the countries in the world are going to be spent on military. So just take that, all those scientists and that $14 trillion and turn that around to AIDS, cancer. You'd be curing shit in years and days and months instead of decades. They are, but these would go a lot faster, and they couldn't be hidden by the companies because this would all be government sponsored.
Because you wouldn't have a monopoly.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Monopolies are not supposed to be allowed. But even
they are.
We allow them, yes, we do allow them. Facebook's got a monopoly.
Okay, so Dave's got the answer. He says if it's a benevolent ET race in control, that could work.
Maybe. But then that's still you got to get all the humans to agree with that, and the Christians are going to be screw that. That's not God. They're going to be you can screw that idea. So I've said this many times on a lot of radio shows and a lot of lectures. I mean, if you can get rid of politics, you can get rid of money, and you can get rid of religion, we'll be a free and happy society.
Absolutely.
But not until we get rid of them three things. Well,
there was a point that was brought up there. I think it was a couple days ago. People were said because Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, they have like over $600 billion there, and so they were saying, hey, if one of those billionaires gave up like 5% of their wealth, like $6 billion, they could cure the hunger problem throughout the world. No, and I think Elon Musk had put a point in there. Says, I would be willing to do that. I'd sell all my shares in Tesla there, but governments can't manage money in the first place. Once governments can manage money properly and tell the truth about how they're spending their money, black budgets and all that they can do that on their own.
So, but that's the thing, because the United States gives out X amount of charity every year. I think last year it was something in the $500 billion range. Only like I think 50 million of it actually got to the people who needed it. The rest of it went through bureaucratic bullshit. Oh, this party or this agenda, or I had to go to this person or this person running. I think, what did they tell me? The general of the Red Cross makes $300,000 a year.
Wow.
So
Okay, so what about med beds that supposedly are coming out? Have you guys heard about these? What do you think? It's supposed to be coming from ET.
The first med bed I ever heard about was in 1989.
They've existed for a long time.
Yeah, they looked just like the Star Trek bed on television. Yeah. It did, and then it did a lot of the stuff it was supposed to, and some stuff. But the beds today are pretty sophisticated. I mean, they can take your heartbeat, your pulse rate, your weight.
I have a really good article that just came out by a company that supposedly is going to be one of the first ones in the U.S. Now, again, I'll believe it when I see it. But they're talking about age. They're talking about all kinds of stuff. Did you see
the robotic nurse? She's fabulous. She's already. Oh yes,
Joe. I have seen her. Okay, you're never going to get me to agree that a nurse can overtake a human. Yeah, well, wait till she decides if you
shaking
don't matter.
Hips
she
around
has
and
no
stuff.
Empathy and your value.
No, she's not for that, baby. That's not what. That's not what she's for. So, what she's for? I'm sorry,
Joe. There's always.
Now listen, let me tell you what it's for. So this is what she's for. They're sent.
I know what she's for. I've watched the video and seen it.
You've seen the ones they got right now. They just stand there and they got a camera on them and they just face the
no.
person. Yeah, that's what they did. They've been having.
No, but that's not the ones I've seen.
I know, but that's the ones they got all in the hospitals down here. So this one comes in and actually can do that along with several other things. It can keep track of the heart rate, the pulse rate.
I know.
It measures all of that, but it doesn't actually touch the patient in any shape, form, or fashion. That's still left for the nurse.
So they say.
No. It doesn't have arms or anything like that. It's not any ones I've seen anyway.
I want to say her name is Jane or something like that.
No. In the U.S., these things are being deployed all over the place. They're in all kind of hospitals now. They're just robotic. They're just like a drone. You just drive where you want at parks, and it monitors what's going on in the room and keeps.
Nothing.
Also, it allows them to.
AI does not have empathy. Does not
it's
have
not for
compassion.
Empathy. It doesn't need empathy.
You need that in healthcare, Joe. You do.
Yeah, but
I'm sorry, but you do.
For what it's doing, it don't need empathy. It's not doing anything. It's no more than the things that would use.
Okay, so it's got 20 patients, and how's it going to triage?
It's not doing 20 patients. That's what I'm saying. That's not what it does. So you don't understand what these are for. So what these do is,
I'm
you
not
know, all the stuff you
stupid.
usually got to have, you know, all the little diodes and everything you usually got hooked up to a body. You don't have to have that anymore. So this thing rolls in, the nurse sends it down to whatever room, and that's where it parks, and it stays there until it's relieved. So all it does is it allows two-way communication between you and the nurse. So you just holler it, and the nurse answers. No more pushing a button. It's just, and they can see you all the time, which kind of weirds me out a little bit. But it also keeps your pulse rate. It keeps your temperature. It sees anything that's weird. It
Just
keeps it
sounds like a
constant.
mobile
It's just
cardiac monitor.
well, it's a little more than that. It's like a mobile scanner, but it actually, I think it has 26 functions it can track on the body at one time.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to have all that equipment anymore. And you don't have all the nurses in there all the time coming back.
So
It's like
Bones is from Star Trek tricorder there, where you can just go and read
it
everything.
basically is
monitor.
on wheels. It's basically what it is, and it's on wheels. They designed it after the first one. The first one was just on wheels. That you should roll it into your room and sit it there, and it would just do all kinds of stuff. This one can actually just be sent down, but it has nothing to do with like touching the patient or interacting with the patient. Other than that, you could
No,
talk.
China, they're coming out with an AI nurse, and they've made her a little bit more Western looking than Asian. I've seen her. She's got like a blunt cut. She wears a blue uniform. She does all the stuff you're talking about, but she goes from patient to patient. They're hoping to have her out this year, taking the place.
Well, these are just designed to just be sent. They're easy to mass produce. They're just going to send them, so they don't have to send a nurse down there to do something that easy. They're like, no, because nurses are far and few between these days in countries, and so you got to do something, especially since COVID. I mean, most people don't realize this, but in the United States, 25% of our nurses retired last year. 25% of our truck drivers retired. 25% of just about everybody in America retired last year.
A lot of them got fired.
These are all retires. These weren't fires. That comes next. That's part of the other
there's
program.
A lot fired, Joe.
No, but this group I'm talking about, these were all retirees. This had nothing to do with getting fired. This is just retirees. When you add in the fire, that's why the country's got such a big problem. So you already had 25% of the country retiring, and you're going to kick in another 15% because they don't want to get their shot.
Thank you.
So that just adds on to the pile. That's why when you think of ETs looking at this country, so many of my friends make jokes about ET coming by and locking their doors as they go by. But it's not all that funny when you think about it. I mean, most people I know would take a shot at ET before they'd even try to talk to it. I'd be out there, hey dude, what's happening? Let's go have a cup of coffee over here, man. Chit chat,
Yeah.
some alien juice or something. But most people I know, same thing with Bigfoot. Most people I know, they'd shoot it before they'd talk to it. And now if I thought Bigfoot tasted good, I might shoot it.
Oh.
But other than that, I'd want to talk to him. Now, if he looked all tasty, that might be different. Especially I've been out in the woods starving for a few months. He might look pretty good. I might be, come here, Bigfoot. Let me talk to you, buddy.
Oh, God.
Well, they swear
It
down
just
the
shows
street.
you how primitive we are, that
We are
people want to
primitive.
shoot it and kill it and be the first to present it.
We're a very primitive species in the grand scheme of the universe. I mean,
Isn't that a delicacy over in Indonesia there, monkey brains?
Yeah, monkey brains are good, man.
Yeah.
Did I say that out loud? Shit. Sorry, man. I never eat monkey brains. I didn't say that out loud.
Yeah.
No, man.
It tastes like strawberry.
You ever eaten baloo? The buried goose eggs for 6 months under the sand?
No, I don't try that one. No.
Oh,
yeah.
Eggs? Ugh.
Yeah, they buried goose eggs.
I don't eat eggs in the first place. Never mind that.
Eggs are good. But they wrong with an egg.
Ugh.
What kind of
So
vegetarian are you?
So after 6 months...
Apparently, while my mother was pregnant with me, she couldn't even touch an egg. And you know what I always say? I say, yeah, because that was me down below yanking on the umbilical cord saying, don't send that shit down here.
Keeping stanky eggs up there. Now, I've heard about them before, though, Sean. I've never eaten them.
Yeah, I did
a lot of stuff.
One time I did. And
how bad was it?
Real bad. I mean,
I bet.
It was the goose feathers and crack it open and it stunk. But it's a delicacy. It was like $75.
I'm sure there's a lot of things that are delicacy, but it doesn't mean I'm going to eat it.
Now, I will tell you this. I had some really, really good flaming grilled oysters yesterday. Them bitches
I don't mind oysters.
Damn smoking good, too,
I don't like the raw ones, though. Too slimy.
I used to, but not anymore. Now, you see the aliens? The alien come over last time. She said, man, wait, you smell really good. I said, you're trying to eat me, bitch. Get back. She's like, what do you smell like? I said, it's flaming oysters. She said, oh, I'm going to have to come back as a human. You have to take me there. So I said, come on. So when I looked up, I said, come on, Amelia. I'll take you out to dinner.
Amelia.
Oh,
Del just had oysters the other night, right, Delly?
Oysters are good, man. Glenda had some fried ones. They didn't look all that great, but the grilled ones are great. When I was young, I used to like them. That's weird too because when I was about 16. Now I was 15, and I was sitting. We used to at a restaurant. I was outside shucking oysters, and I kept looking up, and I'd see this like blue dot, and I'm
I
like,
see the
nah.
news.
I was like, what the hell is that? And I looked again, see the blue dot moving. I wasn't even into UFOs then. I was like, what the hell is that? And my dad come on and said, Dad, what is that? And he's looking at it. He's like, I don't know what the hell that is. And it would just kind of move and stop, and then it would go back, and then it'd move and stop. It looked like a damn, what was that damn game? Pong or something. It was just weird. And then all of a sudden it went straight, and then it went up, and then it was gone. I was like, well, what the f- is that? I still, to this day, I have no idea. It was probably my first conscious UFO sighting that I ever had. So I guess they
Ooh,
had just put me and my dad back at the restaurant and was letting us see him. Oh, the
that's
things you learn,
odd.
the things you learn 30 years
We got
later, huh?
Zeta News Network. I want to.
Hey, Zeta, what's up, baby?
I like to say hi to everybody that's here. Love that you guys all pop in. I know you pop in. You all know Joe, but it's so nice to
Is
hear your
is the
thoughts.
is the Zeta Queen still around? Well, what's her name? Nancy. Well, what is her name? Nancy Zimmerman. Damn, I can't think of her name now.
I know, but it's so nice when people pop in.
Oh,
I
it
always
is.
like
It
to
is.
say hi to them. I know they all know you, Joe, but they may not know
I
us
may not
other
know
three.
me.
So
Some people know me. Some people don't. It's Oh, and then I remember Jason getting into it with was it Linda Moulton? Anyway, they were talking about surviving after
oh,
an alien
Jason,
invasion.
like
Yeah,
Jason.
so he tells
Okay.
her. So she said something about eating her dog. Jason come unglued on her ass. He got on her. What do you mean eat your dog? And I'm laughing my ass off. And she said, "Well, you wouldn't eat that?" I said, "No, my dog's like a food hound." I said, "I'd keep him around because if there was any food around, he would find it." I said, "His little ass. Besides, he's so small anyway. He wouldn't be worried eating. Nothing on to eat." But he was, man. This dog. You could be outside just on the beach. All of a sudden, you see his nose go up and start sniffing.
Is
I'm like,
that
"What the hell is
Charlie?
Yeah, the food be fine. All of a sudden, we walking down the beach one day. He's sniffing lost, and I'm like, "What are you looking at?" Boom, guy out there barbecuing. We like 2.5 miles down the beach. A dog sniffing, and I'm like, so I figured if the end times come, I wanted him around. My two little
That's for
girls,
sure.
are chow hounds, but they ain't real good at finding it yet. But they still babies. It's
Nah,
now they get a little weird when something weird's going on in the house.
because they know.
Well, like Fiona the other night, she's sitting on the edge of bed. She's weird, and then she starts whining, and Lola comes over and starts whining. I'm like, what are you two looking at in the hallway? What are y'all whining about? So I look down the hallway. I don't see nothing. So I come back and lay down bed, turn on TV. I was like, what the hell are y'all whining? So I said, come on, come show me. They get out of bed, and they start staring up to see. I'm like, nothing's up there, dogs. And then out of the light comes a little moth about this big. I said, you hussies.
No, but you know what, Joe? I always tell people when I'm talking to them, whether it's paranormal, anything, trust your animals. Trust your
Yeah, they do.
little kids and trust your animals.
And they do knock your animals out, people. And if you're in a car, they will take them with you.
Well, at least you know they're safe then.
Sometimes they take the damn car with you too because they don't want to get picked up by the fuzzy wuzzies. Well, I was at a conference in Nevada, and somebody asked me. She said, "Well, people get picked up on the side of the road all the time. How do they come to cars don't get picked up?" I said, "They probably take the car with them." I said, I doubt it's really, really a hard technology for them just to suck the car and then set it back where they
I
found it.
told you at the beginning where my car was. It was in the opposite direction, like
Yeah, and every now and then they
40
screw up.
miles away. Like
Every now and then they
blinking.
screw up like they did with Whitley Strieber. They screwed up and put him, like 60 miles from his camp, going the wrong direction. They screw up everyone. They forget, they zapped you up. Nobody wrote it down. They go, which way was he facing?
Where was he?
Was he on that side of the
Humans
road?
are
This
stupid.
doesn't look
They
quite. But you
won't
know what? Yeah, just
remember.
put him here. He'll be fine.
You got to figure, right? It says as if you're picked up, say at point A, and then you're moved up, say 300 miles up in the sky or whatever on some ship, and they put you down 0.0001 of a degree different than where you are. You could end up being 300 miles
Oh
away.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. And it's happened before. We had the two cases where the girl in New York and the girl in California were put back in the wrong beds. And that was a great case.
Oh,
And
wow.
that was the first time they called me. We got a couple minutes. First time they called me, they're like, "What?" And they had become friends. And I'm like, "What do you mean? You're nuts." So they kept bugging me. I was like, "Okay, tell me what happened." So I'm in the chat room actually one night, and they came in there.
Right.
And they both. I said, "Well, one at a time. One at a time." She goes, "Okay, Joe. I live in New York. She lives in California." He said, "It's like a 3-hour time difference, right?" So she said, "I remember it was about 12 o'clock, about 10 o'clock that night. We were going to bed early because we had something to do." And the other girl said, "Yeah, I had been already sleeping for a couple hours because it was like 1 o'clock in the morning there." Well, apparently they picked him up, brought him back. So they set the other one back, like I think it was like 2 in the morning, the other one back, or 6 in the morning, one back at 3 in the morning. So I was like, okay, sounds right. And she's like, no. They said me in California and her in New York. And she said, this is how, she said, so she said, the girl from California said, I remember opening my eyes and I was looking around like, this
Where
bedroom
am I?
doesn't look
Where am I?
right. And she said, I start shaking my husband. And he rolls over and looks at me. And she said, I'm getting freaked. She said, I jumped up. I'm looking for a gun, a knife, anything. I'm about to kill this poor dude. And he's, of course, he's freaked because he don't know who this bitch is. He's like, where's my wife? Who's this woman in my bed? So she's like trying to calm down, right? And he's like, who are you here? And she starts telling me, she said, I need to call my husband. I need to call my husband. I need to call my husband. So the phone rings and the woman picks it up, right? And it's like, he's half asleep. Who are you? And this woman, I guess, while she's on the phone, starts looking around, and the husband rolls over and says, who isn't this? They both start screaming.
Wow.
So they both went on the voice dress and polygraph. They were polygraphed by one of the best polygraphs in the United States, by the way, one of the ones who used to teach the state troopers.
Right.
And she passed both with flying. Both of them passed both with flying colors. And I was like, well, what the
plus
hell?
their husbands could vouch for that too. Like
Yeah,
again,
so-
the husbands
so-
lie, but the husbands probably got no
Yeah, well, the
reason to
husbands
lie.
they weren't voice dressed, but they were polygraphed, and they both passed as well.
Mhm.
And the thing about it is, we tracked to see, we know what the time difference is. So the only way they could have done this is by air, and it would have had to been a really like a Concorde flight, which I don't think existed at the time anymore. But still, we checked every airport, every bus station, just to see, make sure none of them had been going anywhere. We both of them had witnesses that had dinner with them earlier that night and told us what time they'd gone home and shit. Matter of fact, the ones in New York had dinner at their house, so the people had just left, and they were cleaning up and going to bed afterwards. So I mean, you just like, what the hell? So then we've got the return flight. The flight going back for each one of them. So they got a one-way ticket going back to New York and a one-way ticket from California going back to New York. So that's the only ticket you can find for either one of them, just those one-way tickets. And even to this day, they'll tell you it's exactly what happened. We've also got the case where this little cute little girl, there are two little cute little girls involved. They were both about 25, 26. One was an Oriental chick that lived in Japan, and one was a little girl that lived in California. The girl in Japan woke up the next morning with a little half a shirt on and a pair of pink drawers, right? And on the back of the pink drawers, it had somebody's name, address, and phone number. She used to go to camp. She said they were drawers left over from camp. This 26-year-old going to camp at like 16. So you know all these drawers over. Anyway, we're not going there. We're going to leave that alone. And she said she actually did it because she was scared it would get mixed up with the laundry downstairs. For whatever reason,
Okay.
they were labeled. And I still remember when I got the call from the Oriental chick, she had learned English just so she could talk to me about this, by the way. This was crazy. And she said, this is what happened. And she said, I didn't understand how this could happen. She said, we flew and met each other. I forgot where, I think they went to Hawaii and went and met each other and to exchange their clothes. And she said, and it was weird because the Japanese chick had gone to a concert. I forgot who it was, but that's what she went to bed with. She had some short shorts on and the T-shirt from the concert on. And that's what the girl brought back to her. And it was definitely, you can only get them in Japan. And it was only sold at the concerts. It wasn't even sold online.
We should have started the show with this. There would be no doubt.
Well,
how do you prove this?
But we're gonna do a part 2 to this because we were moving around tonight talking about a lot of different things. So I know we got to go, guys, because the Horsefly Chronicles is coming up next with Philip and Julia Syracusa. They seem like they're a pretty good guest on the night, so y'all be sure to check them out. Don't forget to catch Dell on Tuesdays. You open it now, yeah. Dell's opening now, so he's 6 to 7
he's on
Thursdays.
Thursdays.
Oh, did I say Tuesday? Thursday. I'm sorry, people. Thursday.
Yeah, you got our old slot. Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course you've got Sean right here. He's on twice on Tuesdays. He's on Chasing Prophecy, Pittsburgh Paranormal Chasing Prophecy, and then of course he's on Into the Night, which follows the Chasing Prophecy. Couldn't get that out for some reason. Yes, he's got a mean mistress that runs his show. She snaps the whip on his ass like,
oh my god. Yeah. But I love her. She's like my
I'm the boss, so I don't have to worry about it.
She's like my little sister.
I'm just teasing you. No, we're talking about Jenny the Case. If you don't know who we're talking about. She's a sweetie pie.
Yes,
and they got a great crew over there now. So they got Jason Impastato and Trisha. What's Trisha?
Trisha Moe.
By the way, I love both Jason and Trisha's costume that night. They were great. By the way, you should go check them out. Everybody was dressed up nice and having fun on the show that nice.
that
Last
night.
time I
Yeah.
seen Laura Lee was dressed up like some guy, like that old black guy in the old days that used to say "Lemon or Lime," with the bones and the hat, the top hat. It's not actually who she was dressing up, but he dressed up like that one time.
Okay.
But anyway, enough of that.
And I'm on tonight.
Yeah,
Don't forget me.
she's
I'm
actually
on
coming
tonight
on in an
an
hour.
hour.
Yeah, she'll be on in an hour, so y'all be sure to come check her out.
I got Don Geese on with guys
Yeah,
on with me
sounds good.
tonight. Mm-hmm.
And we had a lot of great people in the chat room. Always great to see the chat room fill up and have fun up in there. And for all y'all in message, y'all getting better, but more go to the YouTube chat room. YouTube chat room. Y'all slowly, but some of y'all slowly migrating. Others are giving me the bird. It's like old days when we switched from Yahoo chat to Pal Talk. It took me 3 years to get everybody over there. I'm not kidding you. And then we went from Pal Talk to, I forgot where it was. Half of them wouldn't even come. Now we got Facebook Messenger where everybody can be on and crosses all your pages. Oh, no. They don't want to come in YouTube now. I'm like, it's YouTube. So many people hate YouTube now. YouTube, you should think about that. So many people hating you now. And for everybody who's gotten put in Zuckerberg jail, what's it going to be now? Meta jail? Is that what the new company name is?
Yeah, Meta, which means death
Yes,
in Hebrew.
Yes, it does. Somebody should have
Well, it
researched
means
this
thereafter. Yeah.
just a little bit.
Or dead.
Anyway,
dead.
Facebook, we don't want you to die. We love you. All the Z-Gen is telling me only old people on Facebook now. Anyway, wait, that's something because they got 2.5 billion people on Facebook, youngsters. So I think y'all are telling stories.
Yeah.
I see a lot of youngsters on my pages. Anyway, we got to go. Everybody stay tuned for the horse.
Good night, everybody.
Wait for Laura Lee after a while. And until I'll see y'all. Well, I'll see y'all Wednesday, I guess. Yeah. And they'll all see you in the next day or two. So good night, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned.